My gay roommate is one of my best friends, but lately his love life has been making me feel weird, and I'm worried that I might be acting homophobic towards him. First of all, I've never considered myself a discriminatory person. I'm 22 years old, and back in high school, I had a gay friend with whom I went through tough times. It never bothered me that he dated guys, so all of this is taking me by surprise. Alex, 23 years old. He's been my roommate for a year, and from the beginning, I knew he was gay. At some point, we became close enough to joke about it. Sometimes he pretends to flirt with me, and I pretend to flirt back. I'm straight, and he knows it, but I've never felt threatened by it. He says most straight guys do feel uncomfortable. The problem started with this. Alex sometimes brings guys home. At first, I thought it was fine because it's none of my business who he sleeps with. Usually, he's discreet enough that I don't see or hear anything I wouldn't want to see or hear from anyone else. But for some reason, I've started feeling weird just seeing him with other guys. I don't know when it started, but there's one moment that stuck with me. One day, I got home and saw them kissing on the couch. I don't know how to describe what I felt at that moment, except that for an instant, I felt so sick that I thought I was going to throw up. Alex was embarrassed because he didn't expect me to come home so early, but I told him it was fine because I felt embarrassed too. I felt awful for reacting with so much disgust because there was no valid reason for me to feel that way. I thought maybe it was just the surprise, but it wasn't an isolated thing. Since then, every time he brings a guy over, even though it's not that often, I start feeling terrible and wishing he would leave, and I can't stop thinking about what they might have done, even though I don't want to imagine it. It makes me uncomfortable and disgusts me, and these are just random guys he has fun with. I don't know what I would do if he ever had a serious boyfriend. Alex has started noticing, and it's affecting our friendship. The other day, I got home just as a guy was leaving. He tried to be polite to me, but I was rude to him. I don't even remember what I said, but it was obvious I was upset. When the guy left, Alex asked me why I was being an asshole. I didn't know what to say, but then he asked if I had a problem with him sleeping with men. I told him no, and for some reason, that made him even angrier. He said I had no right to complain, because when I used to bring my friend with benefits home, he had to watch us being affectionate. In the first few months of living with Alex, I had a casual relationship with a girl, but it ended after a while, and I haven't been with anyone since then. I admitted he was right and told him I just had a bad day, that I didn't care who he slept with. But he looked even more pissed off and said he was going to a friend's place to cool off. I told him that was fine. As he was leaving, he suddenly stopped and said, "And if I sleep with him but at his place and not ours, then it's okay for you." I told him it wasn't my business what he did somewhere else. But when he said that, I felt horrible, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. He didn't come home that night, even though we had plans to go out with my sister. He had never stood me up before, and I felt like shit. But, in part, it was my fault for making him feel like I was judging him for sleeping with men. Now he's acting like nothing happened, but I'm afraid of ruining our friendship if it happens again. I want to stay friends with him, but it would hurt him to know that every time I think about him with other men, I feel disgusted. How do I deal with this? I've never been homophobic, but suddenly it feels like I've developed some kind of selective homophobia where my roommate's personal life makes me uncomfortable. And this doesn't happen with other gay people, only with Alex. I don't know if that means I'm only okay with gay people as long as I don't live with them, or what. Has anyone else gone through this? I want to get over it and stop feeling this way, but if I can't, I'll have to move out, because the last thing I want is to hurt Alex. And what if I stay here and keep judging him without realizing it? I called Alex to talk that night. He was in his room, probably on his phone or gaming, but when I knocked on the door and told him I wanted to talk, he looked at me with curiosity. About what? "Come to the living room, grab a beer," I said, trying to sound casual. He shrugged and followed me. I took 2 beers from the fridge and handed him one. He opened it without hurry. The atmosphere felt strange, heavy. I was nervous, but I had to say it. "Look, I wanted to tell you something." I started, spinning the bottle in my hand. He watched me attentively, taking a sip of his beer. "All right, tell me." I took a deep breath and let everything out. I told him how I had been feeling weird lately, how my head was a mess, how every time he brought someone home, I felt uncomfortable and couldn't stop thinking about it. I told him about the day I saw him kissing a guy on the couch, the knot in my stomach, the way my body reacted. He stayed silent for a moment, taking another sip before resting his elbow on the table and looking at me with a half smile. "So, you're jealous?" I froze. "What?" I frowned. "You sound like a possessive boyfriend, man." I felt my face heat up, my cheeks burned, and without thinking, my voice came out louder, more aggressive. "Do you think I'm gay?" Alex widened his eyes slightly, but didn't lose his smile. "I didn't say that. But honestly, I don't know what to think anymore." My breathing was uneven. I felt even more uncomfortable, like I had been cornered. "I'm straight, all right? It's not about that. I just feel weird." I exhaled sharply, gesturing with my hand. "It's strange, man. I've never felt this way before. This has never bothered me. But I don't know when it's about you." He looked at me like he was analyzing something, like he was trying to understand something I couldn't even explain myself. "When it's about me, what?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. I gripped the bottle tightly, searching for the right words, but nothing made sense. "I don't know. I just know it bothers me, and it shouldn't. It doesn't bother me when I see other couples on the street or hear stories about other people. Just when it's you." Alex sighed and smirked slightly, as if he were amused by my confusion. "If I told you I understand, would you believe me?" I was confused. "Understand what?" He chuckled softly and stood up, placing his hands on the table before leaning slightly toward me. "I've noticed it for a while. You act like you don't care, but you notice everything. And, man, you're freaking out now because you're feeling something you can't explain." My throat went dry. "That doesn't make sense." "Yeah, it does," he replied, still looking at me. I was about to answer when, suddenly, he leaned in closer, and before I could react, he kissed me. My body froze. Time stopped. My mind screamed that this was wrong, that I should push him away, stop him, say something. But nothing happened. My body didn't move. I didn't stop him. I just closed my eyes. It was a short kiss, but intense. When he pulled away, he had a playful smile, like he was waiting for my reaction. I remained there, paralyzed, not knowing what to say, not knowing what to think. "So, do you still think it's just discomfort?" he asked, crossing his arms like he was challenging me. My breathing was uneven. My head was spinning. What the hell was happening? I wanted to yell that yes, that it was just discomfort, that none of this made sense. But the truth was, I didn't know what I was feeling anymore. And the worst part, a part of me wanted him to kiss me again. I stood there, breathing heavily, the bitter taste of beer still in my mouth, mixed with something I didn't want to admit. My mind was spinning, trying to find a logical explanation for what had just happened. But before I could even put my thoughts in order, Alex laughed. Not just a chuckle, but a full-on amused laugh, like I was the punchline of a joke he had just made up. "See," he said, crossing his arms. "That's why you're freaking out. You're gay, and you don't want to admit it." Something inside me snapped. A surge of anger shot through my body like wildfire. Before I even had time to think, my fist clenched, and in the next second, I punched him in the face. Alex stumbled back, clearly caught off guard. He touched his lip, where a trickle of blood had started to appear. He looked at me for a moment, and, to my surprise, he laughed again. "Damn, dude." He spit a little blood and ran his tongue over the cut. "I love aggressive men like you." The rage inside me exploded. "I'm straight, damn it," I shouted, feeling my heart pounding in my chest. "You're the one who kissed me." "Oh, sure," he scoffed, still smirking as he wiped his mouth. "Because a kiss only happens if one person wants it. You could have pushed me away. You could have punched me again. You could have yelled, but instead you stood there, with your eyes closed." I clenched my fists tighter, the anger, confusion, and frustration boiling inside me like a storm I couldn't control. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to hit him again. I wanted to blame him for messing with my head like this. "Go fuck yourself, Alex." "I thought that was exactly what you were trying to avoid," he said, tilting his head, with that damn smirk still on his face. The heat rushed through my body. If I stayed there a second longer, I didn't know what I would do. My chest was heaving, my mind was racing. I needed to get out. I grabbed my keys and phone from the counter without looking at him. "Where are you going?" he asked, still enjoying my reaction. "To think," I muttered through gritted teeth, before storming out and slamming the door behind me. The cool night air hit my face, but it didn't do anything to calm the chaos in my head. I walked aimlessly through the neighborhood streets, the city lights seeming brighter than usual. My heart was still racing, my hand hurt from the punch, and my mind was a fucking mess. How could he say that? How could he kiss me and then laugh in my face like I was some kind of experiment, some game to him? He had broken something inside me, and now he was acting like it was all just some joke. But the worst part, the absolute worst part, was that I didn't know if my anger was only because of that. Why didn't I react? Why didn't I push him away the second his lips touched mine? Why, for just a second, did I let it happen? I felt a lump in my throat, a truth I didn't want to admit, something I wanted to bury so deep that it would never surface again. I kept walking, trying to shake off those thoughts, trying to put all the blame on him. But no matter how much I tried, something inside me told me the answer wasn't that simple. I tried to avoid Alex in the days that followed. I stayed out late, made excuses not to be around him, but it didn't help. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his smug smile, heard his laughter after the punch, felt the taste of that damn beer mixed with the kiss I hadn't stopped. I knew I had to face this head on. Pretending nothing had happened wasn't working. My head was a mess, and the more time passed, the more I realized that it wasn't just anger that was eating me up. So one random night, I walked in and found him sprawled on the couch, beer in hand, smiling like he had been expecting me. "Thought you moved out," he said, not even looking away from the TV. I rolled my eyes and sighed, tossing my keys on the table. "We need to talk." He turned off the TV and looked at me, clearly interested. "Oh, finally." He took a sip of his beer and patted the couch beside him. "Go on, then." I sat down, but kept some distance between us, arms crossed, heart pounding. "About that night. Which one? The one where I kissed you, or the one where you punched me?" I closed my eyes for a second and took a deep breath to keep from falling into his game. "Are you gonna listen or not?" He held up his hands in surrender and leaned back. "I'm listening." I swallowed hard. My chest felt tight, like every word was getting stuck before I could say it. "I felt something," I admitted finally. "When you kissed me. I didn't want to, but I did." His smile grew, and he tilted his head like he had already figured that out. "So what's the problem?" "The problem is that I'm not gay." He scoffed. "Oh, sure. You like kissing guys, but you're not gay." "I don't like kissing guys. But you liked kissing me. That doesn't mean anything." He laughed, amused at my frustration. "Man, you can keep telling yourself that, but it won't change reality. You're feeling something, and you're freaking out, because you don't know where to put it." I ran a hand down my face, frustrated. I don't know what this means, but I do know I don't want to lose you." This time, he didn't laugh. He studied me for a few seconds, then sighed. "So, what do you want?" I didn't know how to answer. I wanted him, that was clear. But I wanted him without explaining it, without defining it, without dealing with what it meant. I just want to keep things how they are. "Oh, so you want to keep sleeping with me while pretending you're not dating a guy?" I frowned. "That's not what this is." "No." He raised an eyebrow. "We see each other almost every day. We hook up in secret. We sleep together sometimes. Sounds like a relationship to me." I stayed quiet. He laughed again, watching me. "All right, Mr. Straight. We'll keep it a secret. But you know this won't last forever, right?" I ignored that. For a while, things went the way I wanted. We met in secret, at home, away from anyone's eyes. We never talked about what we were. It was just the moment, just us. And as long as it stayed like that, I could breathe. But Alex liked to push boundaries. It started small, running his fingers through my hair while we watched something on the couch, his hand lingering on my leg, a look that lasted too long. And I never stopped him. I just pretended not to notice. Until one night, as we were walking home from a bar, he grabbed my hand. I yanked it away immediately. "What the hell? Holding your hand. Don't do that." He laughed. Why not? Kissing, sleeping together is fine, but holding hands is too much. I gritted my teeth. That's gay. He stopped walking and stared at me like I was an idiot. Oh, right, because making out with me wasn't. I had no comeback. You're treating me like a dirty little secret, like something you have to hide, because it is a secret. The smirk disappeared from his face. And how long is that gonna last? I had no answer, but something inside me told me he wouldn't put up with this forever. Over time, it wasn't just friendship anymore. I could keep pretending, but the truth was, we weren't just hooking up in secret. We were together. I didn't say it out loud, of course, but it was obvious. He slept in my bed more than his own. I waited for him to come home when he went out. We texted all the time, even though we lived in the same house. When something happened, he was the first person I told. But while he seemed more and more comfortable with what we were, I kept putting up walls. Inside the apartment, it was one thing. Outside, nothing changed. No lingering looks. No touches that might raise suspicion. He played along mostly. Sometimes he'd try to hold my hand, make jokes I ignored, or test how far I'd let things go when we were alone outside. Then came that night. We went out with two friends, Lucas and Mariana. They had been together for years. One of those couples who had known each other forever, finishing each other's sentences, making inside jokes. We were talking, drinking, everything was normal until, in the middle of a conversation, Alex laughed and casually said, "Well, obviously, since we're dating." The world stopped. Lucas and Mariana immediately smiled. "Really? That's amazing," Mariana exclaimed. "You guys make such a great couple." Lucas nodded. "I kind of suspected it. You two are always together. It's obvious there's something special. Congrats, man." They were happy about something that wasn't real, something he had just made up. My whole body tensed. Blood rushed to my head so fast I barely heard anything else. Something inside me snapped. "I'm not gay." I blurted out, my voice sharp, almost a shout. Silence fell immediately. Mariana frowned in confusion. Lucas looked away, uncomfortable. Alex, sitting next to me, just stared. "What's wrong?" he asked, serious now. I stood up, my heart pounding. "I'm not gay, for fuck's sake. Stop saying that bullshit." The couple exchanged confused glances, but I didn't wait for a response. I grabbed my things and stormed out of the bar without looking back. The walk home was a blur. My chest burned with rage. My steps were fast, determined. I didn't want to see his face. I didn't want him to say a word. The moment I got inside, I went straight to his room. I grabbed his clothes, his shoes, his things, and started throwing them outside. I stuffed whatever fit into his backpack, without a second thought. My hands were shaking. What the hell was I doing? It didn't matter. He had crossed the line. I was tossing out his last jacket when I heard footsteps. He had arrived. He stopped in the doorway, staring at the mess. His eyes widened. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there, processing. "What is this?" "Your stuff," I said coldly. He let out a short, bitter laugh. "You're joking." I crossed my arms. "If you step inside, I'll beat the shit out of you." He didn't move. His face changed. That cocky, teasing expression he always had was gone. Something broke in his eyes. He blinked a few times, took a deep breath, but when he spoke, his voice shook. I just wanted... He stopped, ran a hand over his face. "I hope one day you finally admit it," he muttered, voice cracking. "Because no matter how much you run, you're not fooling anyone." He turned away and started picking up his things from the ground. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, watching him leave. He was crying, but when he disappeared from sight, I felt relief wash over me. Because now everything was clear. I wasn't gay. I don't know what to think. It's been a while since everything happened, but I still can't stop thinking about it. I keep wondering if I did the right thing, if I overreacted, if I was an asshole, if I was homophobic. I don't want this to sound like some cheap excuse, but I've never had a problem with gay people. I never cared who they dated, who they slept with, never treated anyone differently because of it. But with Alex, it was different. He was my friend, my best friend, my roommate. We spent so much time together that, without realizing it, everything started to revolve around him. At first, I thought it was funny when he joked about flirting with me. I played along, laughed with him, because I knew it didn't mean anything. Until one day he kissed me. I didn't ask for that kiss. I didn't provoke that kiss. I didn't go looking for it. He kissed me. And the moment it happened, everything inside me froze. My body tensed. My mind went blank. I should have pushed him away instantly. I should have said something, anything, but for a second I didn't. And I think that's what's been haunting me ever since. If I'm as straight as I say I am, why didn't I immediately push him away? Why did that kiss leave me feeling so confused? But here's the thing. It doesn't matter what I felt in that moment. Because I didn't kiss him. He kissed me. So, why, after all of it, am I the one who ended up looking like the bad guy? Everything changed after that moment. He acted like it was nothing, like it was just another joke between friends. But to me, it wasn't. It left me uncomfortable, angry, like he had crossed a line without permission, and then looked at me like I was the hypocrite for feeling that way. And then, when he started bringing guys home, it started affecting me in ways I didn't expect. I don't know why. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't anger. It was discomfort. A discomfort that grew every time I saw him with someone else. That night, when he told our friends we were dating, that was the last straw. He forced me to confront something I didn't want to deal with, put me in a position where I looked like a liar, like some repressed guy, when all I wanted was for things to go back to how they were. And yeah, I snapped. I yelled that I wasn't gay, made it clear to everyone that it wasn't true. I stormed home, still fuming, grabbed all his things, and threw them outside. In that moment, I just wanted distance. I just wanted it all to be over. When he got back and saw it, when he looked at me with red, teary eyes and asked if I was really doing this, I just said, "If you come inside, I'll beat the shit out of you." I saw something break in him. He didn't yell. He didn't call me names. He didn't throw anything back at me. He just lowered his head, took a deep breath, picked up his stuff, and said that he hoped one day I'd have the courage to admit the truth. And then he left, and I felt relieved, because now it was finally over. I didn't have to deal with this confusion anymore, didn't have to question what it meant, didn't have to face anything. I wasn't gay. I never was. But now, after some time, that relief has turned into something else, something I don't know how to name. Was I homophobic? Or was I just defending myself from something I never asked to happen? Why is it so wrong for a straight guy to feel uncomfortable when a gay friend crosses a boundary? If it were the other way around, if I had kissed a lesbian friend who never gave me a reason to think she wanted it, I'd be the asshole. So why, when a guy does it to me, am I the problem? I don't hate Alex. I never wanted to hurt him. But doesn't he realize that, in the end, he was the one who started all of this? I just wanted things to stay the same. So, was I homophobic?